Hi, this is Steffi from Steffi's Beads and Baubles. This little cardinal is one I've been wanting to show you for weeks, but he took so much time to make the 3 full fronts I had to do that I needed to take a break between each one. I don't know if you're like me. I love to make the first one, but then when I make the second, third, and fourth, it gets a little bit tedious because I want to go do something new. But he was just so special. I really wanted to do a video. It just took me a little bit more time than an average ornament would. I used a much smaller sequin. I normally use a 5. These are a 4. And I'd never done the bugle beads on a piece before. And then these little sequins are actually a 3. So let me show you what I used. This is a cookie cutter I bought from Amazon. I should have gotten the cookie cutter out to show you, but I don't even want to go digging in all that mess right now. But I will find the listing if they still sell them, and I will put it in the description below. It's not going to be an affiliate link. I don't have any of those yet, but at least you can go look at it. I think it was $7 or $8, somewhere between $6 and $8. But I just thought he was too beautiful and I really wanted him. So you could probably use it for a blue jay as well. I don't know if they sold it as a cardinal or a blue jay, but I wanted to do a cardinal for winter. And then I used a 3mm, which is right here, a 3mm fully cupped orange from Cartwright's. Now this is so old. This is before they actually had their stuff packaged for them. But I'm sure they must still have that one. And it was $1 then. It's probably about $1.30 now. And then I used their orange seed bead, which is a silver-lined orange right here. And this is also from Cartwright.com, which they don't know who I am except a customer that has spent hundreds of dollars with them. Now the red sequins are also from them. They're a very small 4mm, and they're a 4mm slightly cupped metallic, and they're real small. You can see they're much smaller than this is the one I'd normally use. I don't know if you can see the difference down there. Look at this. This is the sequin I'd normally use, and this is how tiny these are. Much smaller, and they take a lot more work to put on. Now you can use a 5mm red if you really want to. Another thing I did is I used black bugle beads, and these are just vintage ones I've had for a long time. And a friend of mine also sent me some, thanks V, by the way. And the reds were a hank that I bought years ago. And I just cut off chunks of the hank and used it for the red crest. So what I'm going to show you is just the basics. I'm going to be honest with you, each one of these is going to be completely different. It doesn't matter what you do, the beak, like look at the 2 different beaks on these. And then this one's even a little bit different because I did them at different times. Now these 2 are closer. That one I made a little bit bigger, and I don't like it as well. So I'm just going to be honest with you. This type of an ornament, you might find each one's a little... Now these are also going to look different because they're not edged like these 2. The edging does make the beak look bigger, but you can see even on these unedged ones the difference. That one's too big. I don't like how that one came out. I like that one much better. And this one, I'll show a close-up so you can see the difference. But, you know, it's just trial or error. And the good thing about it is I could have torn that out, but I just didn't. Because it's kind of good to see how each one comes out a little different. I'm going to apologize in advance. The next door neighbors just bought the house next door, and they took out a bunch of trees, and there's a tree chipper over there, even though it's pitch black out. And then my son's cat is yowling outside my room because he's not home. So just letting you know, there might be some background sounds, but I've just got to get this filmed because if I keep waiting till everything's perfect, I'll never get it done. Now this is going to be a little more complicated. It might take a little longer than my normal videos, so I'm just letting you know up front. I'm not going to do the entire one just like my normal videos. I'm just going to show you how I did each stage. And the first thing I did was, let me find it, is I did the beak. And the way I do the beak is I do a little V, and then I go back up through and I just fill it in. And I just stuff it. I don't care if it looks overlapped. That doesn't bother me. I kind of like that encrusted look when it just, you know, it looks pretty. I don't mind when it looks encrusted. I don't need them to have neat spaces between them. And that's totally up to you how you want to do it. Okay, I got to get a seed bead. I'm standing over the camera and it makes it a little harder. And then, as I've told you, if this is your first video, then I'm going to tell you again. For those of you that have already heard it. You go back through after you... Okay, let me start over here. I'm a little frazzled tonight trying to get this done. I've had several phone calls and things happen. When you go up through the felt, what you're going to do is you're going to pick up a sequin. Now, these little sequins are cupped, which means they have a... they're literally a cup. They're like a little cup. And when you pick them up, you're going to want to pick them up cup side down. So that when you flip it over, the cup will be up when you put it onto the ornament. Then you pick up a seed bead. And then you pull it down. Now, you're only going to go through the sequin. And you're going to get it as close to the other ones as you can. And when you pull it through, that seed bead will hold it on. And you're just going to keep going till you fill that in and it's nice and full. Okay, I'm going to leave that there. I'm just going to cut that off so I can show you the black. Now, you got to do the little face around the face, around the beak. And you're just going to take black sequins. These are 5mm. And you're going to do the same thing around the beak. You're going to get a black thread if you have it. If not, you can do the whole thing in black or the whole thing in red. And most craft stores sell black and white thread. And you're going to do the same thing. Now, the first time I come up, which I did on this, I go back through. And I do apologize for the lighting. It's pitch black outside. I really tried to get in here earlier, but a dear friend had to come by and bring me something. And I hadn't seen her in a while, so we talked, and I just didn't realize how dark it was going to get. Again, you're going to pick it up, cup side down, so the cup is facing toward your hand or the table. And then you're going to pick up a seed bead. And then you're going to pull it down. And again, go back to the sequin, but not the seed bead. As close to the orange as you can get. And you're just going to do that all the way around. And you're going to go down one. So you can go past the... You can do it one of two ways. You can go around and then back down this way, or you can go down this way and then fill in there. It might be easier for you to go down and around the beak and then come back down to here. Now when you get to here, you can go put these two sequins in and then scooch over and do the eye. And once you do the eye, then you can go back and finish this line. However you want to do it. It's, you know, you can see I went back, I went over to do the eye and then came back. So when you're done, this is what your little piece is going to look like. All these little stitches. Okay, so once you've done that, now this is what he should look like. And then you can go down and do the little foot the same way. I just do 6 little sequins, 3 on the bottom and 3 above, and that gives you a little foot. Then you're going to do the bugle beads. Now I'm going to sit down to do this, and since I don't trust myself to not go out of focus, I actually put rhinestones that I have to keep my hands within so that I don't mess up. Let me take and move that one up. I don't mess up and get out of frame like I've done a couple times on you guys. So I'm going to do my best to stay right in the middle of this area. And since it's a little dark, I'm going to move it up just a tiny bit so I can keep in the light. So I'm going to sit down and do my best to stay in frame and show you how to do the bugle beads. Now the bugle beads are a little bit different than doing the seed beads because, well, for one, there's shape. Now you don't want to be too close, and you're going to be doing the edging on here. So you can just be over right about there. Let me find one that's got the front done. If you can see, I leave a little bit of edge right along the top of the head there. And then I go through like I told you, I go through, then I go back down through the felt, and this just kind of secures it nicely. And then you're going to, actually, I made a kind of a mistake there. You want to get as close to that sequin as you can, and I didn't do that. Like I said, I've only done this the 4 times, and then there was a big space between when I did the first one. So then you're going to come back through, and I'm going to get 4, oh, I didn't put any bugle beads out. Let me do that. I guess I didn't have any on my tray. If you buy these old hanks, you just simply cut a string and you can get a bunch of the beautiful bugles off of it. I have the same thing in a Christmas green that I plan on doing some things with. So what I did is I picked up, I'm going to stand up to make sure I'm staying in frame here. I picked up, now you want to check them, make sure they're not cracked or broken, because that can happen at times. And you just pick up 4. Now you might have to see, and this is the best way to do it, is you load them on to your string, and then you're going to pull it and see if it fits. And you're going to, now see, this one I can only use 3. Now I think on the very first one, did I only use 3? No, I used 4 on the very first one, but his nose was smaller, his little face. So we're going to take 1 off, but that's the best way whenever you're going to work with the bugle beads or seed beads and you're doing a line like that. Put them on there and see if they fit. And then if they don't, take whatever is excess off, and it just slides right back off the needle like that. Now I'm going to go through the fabric right at the end and pull it tight. Okay, then I'm going to come up between these 2, and it's going to look a little funky for a minute. I'm going to go back through to the end, and it's going to look bad. You're going to go, oh wow, that looks terrible, but just stay with me here. So you're going to pull it tight, okay, and then you're going to go back down, and then you're going to go back up. I do a lot of that on these, and you're going to go through it to the end. It takes a couple tries to get that needle to go all the way through. You might have to finagle it a bit. See, it doesn't want to behave. So you got to kind of hold it still. There you go. Then when you get it through all the bugle beads, you pull it tight. And there it looks, like that. And then you're going to go back down, come up, and do the second row. And don't worry if there's a space, because if there is, you fill it in with seed beads later. And the way you do that, let me show you real quick. I'm just going to cut over here. But let's say it's a separate thread and you got to fill in where you've missed a place. You just simply take a seed bead and you go here like that. And you just fill in. Okay? So you should look fine. You can get it closer if you maneuver it a few times, but if you don't, you can fill in with seed beads. I did that on the first one. I filled in the end with seed beads because I got that up under the, if you can, try to get it up under the sequin. I didn't do that on this one. But if you get under there and you really, like I said, this is more difficult. This is one of the more difficult ornaments I've done. So let me try it, but I've only done it 3 times. So I'm by far not an expert. I'm learning as I show you this. So let me try it again, and let's see if we can do it right this time. Okay, kind of try to get it under the sequin if you can, and then go through. And like I said, it's going to look bad. You're going to come up between the first and second and go back through. And you can do that through each one if you want. But for this few beads, I find I only had to do it once. And you can just go straight through to the back. I think that's actually what I did, and that's how I got it underneath. And then you just come back up and go back through all of the beads again. And you're just going to keep doing that. And the key is to do them right next to each other. So you push it up against that one, then you do the next one and push it up tight against that one, and then you're going to do that. And you will see that you can maybe do 3 or 4 rows, and then you're going to have to start going down. And then I went down till I got to the first end of the first sequin. Then I stopped with 1. And I only did 1 for like those. See, this is one that I did 4 at the front. Let me see if I have one that I did 3 so I can show you. Well, they all did 4. I don't know why this one only 3 fit. I guess I did the face really different. So I'm saying all of these crafts are different. See, on this one I did 4. This one I could only fit 3. And that's because the way I did it. And I don't understand because that mouth looks actually bigger. They're cut out exactly the same. So it just shows you how handcrafted things are never the same. But this is trial and error, and you just, if you don't like how it is, all you got to do is cut the thread, pull it off, and do it over again. Trust me, I still do that a lot. And you're just going to do that till you get about where it's, you just follow the crest. So you can go down to 2 when you need to go down to 2, and then I go down to 1 for the last 2 or 3 till I get to the sequin that goes along the jaw. Then I don't put any on the second sequin. I'll get that up close so you can see that. And then you're just going to fill it in with the tiny red sequins. And let me show you that real quick. For those of you that never watched one of these, I've showed you already on the orange, but I'll show you again on the body how to do the sequins. And you're just going to tie a knot, and I always tie a good knot because depending on the felt you use, if you use a really good quality felt and it's not very porous, then you don't need as big a knot. But on some of these craft store felts, they're a very porous felt, and if they are a very thin porous felt, you're going to want to tie the knot big. And then that's why I also go in and out of the fabric 2 or 3 times the thinner the felt is. I just like it very secure. And this is tedious, but I felt I should show you that I can knot it in 2 or 3 different knots, if you see, and then I start knotting those knots together, and I make a big obnoxious knot. You can hear my neighbors out there, or the people that are working for them. Yeah, see, I make a big obnoxious knot. And don't worry about the tail, you can trim that later. You just want a big knot. And then you just start down here, wherever you want, really, there's no right or wrong. I tend to go around edges a little bit, and you're going to pick up that little sequin, like I told you, upside down. And you're going to pick up a seed bead, like that. And I didn't go through it twice like I'm supposed to, did I? You can tell I'm frazzled tonight. It's like all I wanted to do is make this video tonight, and everything conspired to delay it. I wanted to get in here at 4:30, and it just didn't happen. So you're going to go back through it a couple times, like I told you. Now, if it catches on the knot, just release it, and it'll pull back, and then go back through. If it's especially porous, you can do that a couple times. You'll never see it. And then you get your upside down sequin and your seed bead, and whoops, I have a very long piece of thread here. It's just about to pull out of the needle. Look at that. I am very rusty today, can you tell? You're going to go back through just the sequin, and the seed bead will hold it in place. I like to follow the line around and then fill in, but you can just fill it in as you go. But you are going to want to do your bugle beads on the wing and the tail before you do too much. So I usually fill in just a little bit, and then I'll do my wing and my tail. And I do those the same way I did this. I simply take a piece of black, and I'm just going to cut this and show you real quick. the difference when I do the wing, because that's a longer piece. But I do it kind of the same way. You just kind of have to decide what your design is. And don't be afraid to mark on here, especially if like a light red marker or something. You can write on here, and if you're real careful just to do a thin line, it won't show up, if you, especially if you use like a red. And then you can follow that line. Or you can even use one of those fabric markers. But I don't know, those don't disappear unless you wet them, so you probably don't want to do that. But let me cut this off. And you're going to take the black, and you've got your knot, and you're just going to pick where you want your wing. Now I just kind of went down from where I thought the shoulder would be. Just down off the neck here. I just came straight down there. And I think they're all pretty similar. Let's see. They're all pretty similar on the wing. And I just came down off the shoulder, and I just do the same thing. I come up, I pick where I'm going to go. So come down off the shoulder, go through, go back down, come up again, and then start putting the bugle beads on. Now for this, since I've got to do a very long one, I just loaded up a bunch and shaped it as I went. So like I put the bugles on there and kind of arched them around where I wanted them to go, like this. And just pull them kind of tight so I know that they're, and hold it, and I just go down. Now that's obviously not going to hold it in place completely, but that's when I start going up and back through the bugle bead, and go, on this I kind of do go down through several of them to kind of set the arch. Whoops, there's my other thread. Don't worry if it looks a little choppy, because you're going to go back through it. And don't worry about any threads, because remember, you're going to put sequins around that. And some of the red sequins are actually going to tuck a little bit under the bugle beads. Now here I'll go up through, like that. Kind of pull it up through. And then once I get it, that, then I'm going to go down, and then I'm going to come back up, and I'm going to go back through. Anyway, I'm going to go back through and come back here and just keep going until I get to the tip here. And you can go back through it. Now this is too thick of a needle. If you're going to be going in and out of the needles, I recommend getting a very thin beading needle, because that way you can go through a few more times. I got out the wrong size. I wasn't thinking. These are perfect for the sequins, but for the bugle beads you need, these are like a 10, you need like a, I think it's a 12 that's real tiny. But you need a real thin needle, and you're going to go back through all of them, and then you're going to add more, and then go back, and sometimes I'll go back and forth a couple times. I'll go through 2, come back up through 1, add 2, come back up through 1. Then when I get to here, I'll go back down, come up, and then I'll go through the whole thing. And then I might do that a couple times. So use a thinner thread and a thinner needle, and then you can shape it. And these are even easier because they're just straight lines. So they're just like doing that. You're just going to go straight line wherever it is you want to put the lines. If you look, none of mine are the same. They're all slightly different. None of the tails are exactly the same. Just wherever you want the lines to be. And mine aren't perfectly straight. You know, it's a handmade item. It's not going to be perfect. I could pick it apart if I wanted to, but I love them and I'm really proud of them. So let me show you how you do the edging now. Once you've got all your front done, you've finished your detail work, then you're just going to do the little sequins all around. And the reason I chose these tiny little sequins is because it's easier to fit between these little rows. See? If I was to use this bigger sequin, let me find one of the big ones. See how much that would be a lot harder to fit. You could do it, but up here and down here it'd be harder to fit it. So I thought if I used a smaller sequin, it'd give me a lot more maneuverability between these bugle bead lines. So that's why I chose such a small sequin. If you don't have these, you absolutely can do the red 5mm that you can buy just about anywhere. What I would maybe do is do a line of red, then maybe do your bugle beads, and then a line of red and do your bugle beads. That way you can fit it in really nice. Because there's really, no right or wrong way to do this. You're just gonna, kind of feel your way through it and figure it out kind of as you go. So anyway, let me show you how you stitch them together, because I do this beaded edge on it. Now I like to do the beak in the color I did the beak, and I do a little bit of black where the black is, but really it's really simple because you just change the bead as you go around. So once I show you what you do, you can see it's real easy to go from the red over to the black and then over to the orange and then back to the black and the red. It's really not hard. And again, the beauty of this craft is until you pull it into a knot or really go through a few beads, you can always, unless you've knotted it actually, you could pull anything out. Just be gentle. Felt is very fragile, so if you're going to pull it out, be very gentle and slow. But if you've only gone a couple of stitches, it's very easy to tear out. Now I wouldn't want to tear the whole thing out, but if you didn't like your segue from the black to the orange or the orange to the red to the black, you could take 1 or 2 beads out and it'll be fine. But you just go by your eyesight, just, okay, it's time for an orange. And then, okay, it's time to go back to black. So let me show you how to do that edge, and you'll be able to see that it's extremely easy to add the colors. If you have the colors for the thing, you'll have the colors to do the edge. But if you want to do it all in red or all in black, that would also be quite pretty. So I always tell you in all my videos, there's no right or wrong. And I am not an expert. I'm a passionate beader. I love seed beads and sequins. I love making things, but I'm still learning too. So I just do the best I can and try to show you what I know. But the bugle beads was something I had never done before, and I'm planning on trying some other new things as well. So I'm hoping that as I learn new things, I can show you. And I'm just experimenting. I never saw this done by, I just said I'm going to try it because I want to do something different. And I knew I had these gorgeous red bugle beads, so I thought, why not? So let me show you how to sew them together. And you need a red thread like this. Okay, that one's already attached. Here's red. And again, I'm going to tie the knot off camera. You're going to tie your knot. And again, it's going to be a good knot because I want to make sure. But luckily, once you've beaded it, you're going to have all that beads and sequins kind of strengthening your felt. So it won't be quite as big a deal to get that knot super, super big because you've got all this stitching. I don't know if you can see it in this light, but all that stitching, which really, oh, there's a loose sequin, really strengthens the fabric because it's got something holding it tight. So what I do is I take and I put my 2 pieces so that the ink that stamped it faces the same way. Now on the Cardinal, obviously, you can tell which side is which. If it's something like these, you have to figure it out by the ink. This one's easier because the shape is the shape. Now you're going to have some felt showing, but that's okay because that's where you're going to stitch it together. And Pick an easy spot to start wherever you want. Just make sure it's lined up perfectly. Get all the edges lined up all the way around. Now you will find if you have not cut these out on a machine, if you've cut them out by hand, they're going to be a little different. Also, once you bead it, it kind of pulls the felt a little bit. So this one will always be a little bit bigger than the back one. But unless it's ginormous, oh, sorry about that. My alarm was going off. Unless it's an enormous change, a difference, leave it. It'll be fine. You'll hide it with the stitching. So you can start pretty much anywhere, and you're just going to go in, and you're going to go in between. I always go on the sequin side, and I go up into the fabric and pull the knot between the two, kind of sandwich it in there. And then, excuse me, I'm a little sniffly tonight, I apologize. You're going to make a circle that's going to go around. You're going to go through the top, and then you're going to go back around the back and pull it tight and get a circle going there. Do you see how I did that? And then I'm going to pull 3 seed beads up. I can do that. 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to go right next to where I went. Right next to it. I'm going to go back through. Now please be careful. Don't go through a sequin. You want to make sure, because if you come up through a sequin, then when you go back out, you're going to leave a line of thread over the side of the sequin. So make sure you come up between them. And then pull the thread so that you're out. And then you're going to go up to that last one you did. You're going to make a little triangle. See? See a little triangle? You see that? Once you have the triangle, now you only do 2 for each stitch. So now you're hearing my phone buzzing because my husband's calling to say he's coming home from work. But I have it on mute, but it's still buzzing. You're only going to need 2, and you're going to add 2 to that triangle, which if you see, it makes another triangle. You're going to go up to the last bead again. And you're just going to keep doing that all the way around. When you get to the black, you got your little triangle. When you add, you add a black. You might add 2 blacks or 1 black, depending on where it ends. And then you'll do the same for the orange, and then back to the black and the red. And it's real easy. Now that you know what I was doing, see how I did that. I just added whatever color. There was red, I added a black, then a black, then a yellow, and then or orange, and then I came back and I went orange to black, and then 2 black, and then a red. You just got to see how it looks. If you don't like it, it's a pain. Take it off the needle, pull the thread out, and redo it. I still sometimes have to do that. So anyway, once you get them all stitched together, you want to finish them off, right? So you're going to go to the last stitch here, and if you look, there's your first stitch and your last stitch, and you're going to just add 1 bead in between the 2, and you're just going to add 1 bead because you've already got a start bead and an end bead. You're just going to add 1 bead, and you're going to come out the back, and then you're going to tie a knot. And I just kind of go around like this. Stuff sticks to this felt. You go around like this, and I just go 3 or 4 times this direction. And you can even do this if you feel more comfortable. You can go through the loop and actually make a knot if you want. Then you can go the other direction a few times. And if it really makes you nervous, you can actually put a dot of glue on it. But I've never done it, and I've never had one come undone. I just go through it 2 or 3 different directions, and then I snip it off. Then to make the loop, that's real easy. You're just going to take the same red thread, or whatever thread you use, whatever color you want to make your loop. Now I made my loop out of red. Let me get this knot done for you. And you're going to take, let me get the right, Here we go. Right needle. I've got a bunch of needles already made up. Now, you're just going to figure out where you want him to hang from. And I just picked the middle of his back. I seemed to be a good spot, and that's where I put it. So right in the middle of his back, kind of where the center of the hump is, right there. And then all I do is I go in through the sequins. And I go underneath the sequins, and then I try to come up through a seed bead. I like to come up wherever you want to come up. You come up and you just poke the needle till you come in through. You want to get it right through one of those seed beads. It takes you a few minutes sometimes to do it, but you want to get up under the sequins. And there, I think I got it. Okay. And I don't know if you can see that, but I came up through the seed bead right there. I'm going to pull it up and get that knot. And if there's a little tail, you can cut that tail off. And you just pull it up so it hides under the sequins. Then you're going to add seed beads for as long of a hoop as you want. I normally do 6 inches, so then it's a 3-inch loop. And you're just going to add seed beads to it. And once you get it the length you want, then you figure which direction you want to go. And let's say this has 6 inches of beads, you're going to go for the next, you're going to find the very next seed bead, like this would be right here. So you're going to go over the top of the triangle into the next seed bead, and you're going to go back through, come out through the back, and then do that knot that I showed you before. And that's it. That's how you do him. He's, like I said, he's a lot more complicated because there's a lot more moving parts here. You've got small, tiny sequins here, which are the 3mm, but you can use bigger ones there. It just would be less of them. I happen to have those, so I used them. You're going to have the bugle beads, and like I said, on this one, I actually added seed beads at the end because I had a little space after I edged it. After I edged it, I didn't like how it looked, so I came up through the back. I think I came up through here, and I went along and added the seed beads. I think I just added a little knot right here. And you can do that anywhere you don't like how it looks. You can add a few seed beads here and there, all along the any edge that you don't like how it looks. You can add a couple. You can even add a sequin if you have enough room. It's real easy. So that's my Cardinal. I've been wanting to share him with you for a very long time. I was so excited when I got the first one made, but it really did take me a long time to get the other 2 fronts made to get this video done. The next ones I'm doing will not be this complicated, although I do have one more complicated one to show you, but I'm going to wait till I get a couple more done. I had another subscriber suggest a polar bear, so I went looking for my polar bear cookie cutter the other day, and I had just seen him, and do you think I can find him? No. But my husband's going to look, because sometimes he can see things that escape me. So we'll find it, and I will be doing the polar bear, but I got a couple other projects to do first, including one Thanksgiving project I want to do for you guys. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will put a link to this cookie cutter for you. And if you have any questions, just leave them in the description. I will be happy to answer any questions. It's basically just like doing a regular ornament, just with smaller sequins. But like I said, you can use a 5mm red if you really want to, or you don't have a way to get the little reds, or you don't want to wait to get them. Go ahead and use what you got. You can use a 5mm. It'll be fine. I actually did I use? No, I didn't. I was going to use some up here, and I did not. But I just wanted a more encrusted look, because I really love when they look encrusted, and these little tiny ones do a good job of that. But I'll be back soon, and I've got several projects. Now that this big one's out of the way, I've got several projects to do for you. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Bye.